Last round at Oulton Park saw the GTO Championship sealed up for Phil Lake as Yuko Leskala had yet another uncharacteristic spin. While both championship titles may be clinched, it is still tense for the latter steps of the podium. Can Laus Olsen claw his way back against Jungbluth to take second away in the GTPs? Can Nick Bakanos keep his luck going for just one more race to take third from Trangarade? Can another driver put on a surprise win here at the Super Speedway of Kamel? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the final round of this season's racing of iRacing's Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lindgren, and with me in the booth is Robert O'Brien. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Le Mans is legendary among racing drivers and fans alike. To find out why, let's take you down to our track guide.
Welcome to Le Mans. When you talk about legendary circuits, this is a place that stands among the most famous in the world. Part permanent road course, part temporary street circuit, it traipses through the countryside just south of the city where it gets its namesake. Its size matches its reputation as well, clocking it at 8.5 miles, which equates to roughly 13.5 kilometers. However, when you take into account that it's split by only 33 turns, the frighteningly fast nature of this circuit becomes clear. Most of the corners have been added over the century of history it's experienced, but many have become renowned and respected. The two turns at the opposite ends of the massively long Mulsanne Straight play equally important roles. Tertre Rouge requires a great exit in order to not lose massive amounts of time, while Mulsanne Corner takes bravery and precision in order to brake as late as possible and keep opponents from passing you on the way in. There's also hair-raising moments like the tricky entry to Indianapolis, or the close walls along the bridge section in the Porsche curves. To win here, drivers will need a very low downforce setup, a good sense of strategy, and heaps of bravery. The 24 Hours of Le Mans is the crown jewel of endurance racing, which many drivers dream of someday winning and many fans flock to witness in person. Once you've driven the track here on iRacing, it's easy to see why.
Well, Rob, we saw a couple reasons why this is such a legendary track, but talk to us about why it's going to be difficult for these drivers today in the Kamel series.
You are correct on the head there, Adam. It is going to be exceptionally difficult. It may look like a normal French roadside racetrack, but it is exceptionally difficult. 13.6 kilometers, that is one of the largest laps, or one of the longest laps on the iRacing service that you can get. 38 turns over 11 laps. It is going to be quite tricky. It's not even just the length itself, it's the cornering. Your car has to be set up for speed, because that Mulsanne Straight, it's not going to be happy if you have plenty of wing added to it. But especially during that technical section on the last, you need to be fast and able to corner well. So it's a mix and match, really.
Absolutely, Rob, and it's a real challenge for these drivers to tackle the setup challenges, but not so hard to tackle the math when it comes to the championships. Now, we're going to start with the GTPs. Nicholas Schneider has sealed that up by 66 points over Fabian Jungbluth. That is not possible for him to claw back. But look at this. Laus Olsen and Fabian Jungbluth only separated by 2 points coming into this round. That is very, very tight for these drivers. Then we have Joseph Mudrack, who is about 24 points back of Laus Olsen, and he's in a tight battle with Mark Gamick, for that fourth position in the GTPs. So it's tight for second and third and fourth and fifth right now, Rob.
But the GTOs, they're in the same situation. You know, Philip Lake, after his win last week, he seals the deal. And Yuko Leskala is 36 points behind him, but we do have that close battle. Third and fourth, Ove Tangerid, 64 points behind the leader, 73 points, only 9 separating between himself and Nicholas Makanos, Jamie Hamill-Smith. If he could put in a great result and the other two have difficulty, he can certainly upset the apple cart, but it is all down to play for in third, fourth, and fifth today.
Absolutely, and we've also got our race details for you, and this you might want to pay attention to, Camel regulars, because it's quite different. We got our final round 12 of 12. It's an 11-lap race, so they're not doing a timed race this time. It's 11 full laps for the GTPs, probably more like 10 for the GTOs. They're doing open setups, and they do not have a spare vehicle that they can use. Incidents are 17 for a penalty, 25 for disqualification, and over 11 laps, that actually should be something that they have to be concerned about. The GTPs may need to be concerned about fuel as well, so look for a lot of drivers to be sticking in the draft today, Rob.
Especially coming around here as well. The braking points is going to be exceptionally critical. As you can see here, we're on with Hugh Haycox as he comes through Mulsanne 2 on towards the Mulsanne chicane. He needs to be exceptionally careful through that first section because you lose a lot of time making mistakes, especially coming down here. Watch the car number 2 as he comes down. He needs to make sure that he hits to the left, swings back into the right, carrying as much speed as possible, and then brake almost as he's turning into the Mulsanne chicane, hit the apex just right coming up through Indy. You don't have any hybrid. Is before the age of hybrid boosting was allowed, so they're going to have to just use a lot of the right foot pedal, a lot of the acceleration, and just carry speed as much as possible, especially through Indy and through here, which is Gulf.
Absolutely, and we've got a pretty even field here for these drivers. It was 41 drivers signed up at the time of that registration closed, and it's pretty even split between the GTPs and the GTOs. We're right now in qualifying, 5 minutes left, and nobody has started their timed lap yet. That is just how long this circuit is for these drivers. So they're trying to get these timed laps done right now, and it's such a long lap, Rob, for them to get this thing done. The Audis will likely only get 1 lap total for their qualifying, whereas the GTPs may be able to squeak into it.
It's going to be absolutely tight for the GTPs. No mistakes, absolutely none. You cannot make one mistake on your out lap or on your first lap. You need to be as fast as possible. And for the GTOs as well, if they make a mistake, their lap is done for. Le Mans is quite punishing, and with the limited time for qualifying is very punishing. The combination of the two is very, very punishing. But especially if you make a mistake here through the Ford chicanes, if you make a mistake, Hugh Haycox almost missing the second pair of 2. He comes across the line to start his lap, but he just needs to keep focus, not slip the car.
Absolutely. So our fastest lap right now is from Hugh Haycox, but that's not really representative. So everyone's going to have about 4 minutes to get these laps done. And with the GTPs completing their out laps at about 3:55, you realize just how tight it's going to be for these drivers. So it's going to be very interesting to see who can set these representative lap times. So Sean Campbell currently at the top of the board. If nobody's able to get a clean lap in, he will be on the pole position based upon that right now. We're still waiting for Alex Milber to come around, last week's winner, and Alex really walked away with it. A good showing for him returning back to the series, so great job for him navigating the traffic at Alton Park to get that win. Traffic's going to be a little simpler here today, I think, Rob.
It's going to be simple, but it's also going to be difficult. As Alex Milber comes across the line, he does not set another lap. That's it. He can't. He's run out of time. The only ones that really can are the top 6, I think, can only set another lap as Hugh Haycox goes around to try and battle again. Here we have Philip Blake coming across the line. He sealed the deal. All he's doing is more of like a, I'm showing off. more so he's just trying to seal the deal for himself and go off on a high, especially now that he has the championship in the bag. He comes across with a 3:58. Just underneath 4 minutes is the Tiger Ove Tangerid, currently on his lap coming through Indy. It's going to be actually a tale of 2 races, coming back to your point. If the GTOs play ball, and you have to sort of play ball with not only the traffic that you're battling, traffic like this, traffic that are in their own race. If they play ball, it should be fine, but if they're racing side by side, they still have right to use the track. So it is going to be a bit difficult to balance them.
We've seen 4 wide passes on Mulsanne Straight before in this Kamel GT series, and it might happen again today. But one of the important things to note is that if the GTPs get in between you and the Audi ahead of you, you could very easily lose the draft. And if you lose the draft here at Le Mans, that's race over for you as far as your contention for the positions ahead. So it's always best to be nice and kind to the drivers ahead of you up until, lap 9 or 10, when you can really start going for it and try and break a gap away. For the drivers who are ahead, I'm looking at you, Ove Trangrid, if you can complete this lap cleanly. For the drivers who are up at the front of the field, they usually are trying to break away as quick as possible and use the GTPs as a pick. Ove Trangrade sets a 3:59.687. That's good enough for third position. Currently, Nils Core on provisional pole for the GTOs. Sean Campbell on provisional pole for the GTPs with 1 minute 20 to go.
We have Nicholas Morelli. He's going to try and see if he can set another lap. He didn't set a lap the last time around, so he's got a minute to do so. We have plenty of time to do it. Hugh Haycox, I think he's already got his. No, he's actually still going. He's just coming up to the line as well as Nicholas Morelli. So I'm just going to see now. Just to look how much the car actually pitches when it's under braking through the curves as well. The car has to be on point 100% of the time. It's not just a case of, oh, I'll set it up for one part of it, and that's going to be a 330, 195. Not good enough for the top 5 into the top 10, though. He goes.
Sean Campbell decides to park it as well. Fabian Jungbluth is the next one I'm watching, currently in 5th position, trying to pull up ahead. Interestingly enough, Laust Olsen has yet to set a qualifying time. And he is... I don't know if he's going to make it. He's got about 20 seconds to get in there. He's battling with Jungbluth for the championship. I don't think he's going to make it to the line.
Oh, very close, very close. He might just... He's there just about, though. I mean, leaving it up to the very last second, though. It's a bit difficult for these kinds of cars to get any speed through the corner, so a bit too close for comfort.
3:27.352 is going to complete the lap, but unfortunately, it's not going to count for him, unfortunately. So that's going to bring us to our grid for this race, starting off with Sean Campbell on the pole of the GTPs. Hugh Haycox is going to line up second. Togo Hisad is lining up in third with Aitor Segundo in fourth. We got Fabian Jungbluth in 5th position with Martin Kraytrick 6th, Pablo Suarez 7th spot, with John Keefe in 8th. Rounding out your top 10 is Javier Mosquera and Gianluca Gabbiani. Then 11th place is Patrick Silvazzi with Nicholas Morelli lining up in 12th. Mark Gamick in 13th spot with Violet Alexander Miller lining up in 14th position with Ed Rie in 15th, Cam Porter in 16th position, and then we have our non-qualifiers. Alex Millward, our winner from last round, Laust Olsen battling for second in the championship, Tim Phillips, Douglas Cloud, and Kyle Graham.
And we got in the GTOs, Niels Core and Philip Lake making row 9, Ove Tangerid, Nicholas Lucanos in row 10. In 5th position is going to be Franco Scurry. 6th is going to be Ben Laughter. I'd say he's going to have a bunch of laughter going around here with Marty Oli beside him. On 8th position is Hideki Koivisto, correction. In 8th position, 9th is going to be Ian Haycox. Hopefully he can pull out the stops and get some good positions up into the top 5. Jamie Hamill-Smith in 10th. 11th is going to be Mika Tupola. In 12th is going to be Michael Haynes. Andreas Anso in 13th. 14th is Yuko Leskela. 15th, Carlos Fonseca. 16th, Alan Laurent. 17th is going to be Iago Lafuente. 18th is going to be Pablo Rangel. 19th is going to be Axel Boada. And Simo Raba is going to round out the 20 runners in the GTOs.
Yeah, really surprising to see Yuko Leskela not set a representative lap time. This last half of the season just really has not been great for him, unfortunately. I promise Yuko this will be the last time I talk about it, but it's just been an unfortunate time for him over the last half of the season.
Well, the difficulty of it is that you're at a track that's not going to be very kind if you make a mistake. It's very easy to get an off track, even here. You can run wide, you can do all sorts of silly little things, and you can just think to yourself, damn it, I can try to do another one. But you can't in these cars. There's just not enough time. So you really do have to sort of buckle up and say, do I take the risks and risk not even qualifying and starting near the back? Or do I put in a banker lap knowing I'll probably be somewhere in the middle, but being in the middle is better than being at the back. Some people have made that decision, some people haven't. And some people have benefited from it, some people haven't. So it's just a look at the draw, really, if you can think of it that way.
Well, speaking of not a lot of time, these drivers don't have up. Now, this is one of the most tense race starts in racing, and just because of the nature of the chicanes that you go through to get to the start-finish line. to be honest, the Ford chicanes, some of the most dangerous spots on the track to go side by side, and they got to do it at below racing speed, which is where these cars are actually pretty uncomfortable for them. So Sean Campbell currently leading the GTPs. We got Nils Kor, who's lined up in the GTOs. He's leaving quite a big gap, about 18-20 seconds to the GTPs ahead. So he definitely wants to get lapped today. So as Sean,
sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Rob.
I was about to say, what Sean's going through his mind is that he does not want probably to go too wide coming through the Ford chicanes, because if it happens, oh dearie me, he's going to have such a pain. But look at the planes, they're coming over.
Absolutely. Patrol de France flying over the Le Mans front straight for the start of this race. And the pace car will pull off shortly after these chicanes, and it's very, very close for these drivers. Coming through the final chicane now, Sean Campbell. It's not side by side for them. Sean Campbell's actually going to get a launch on Hugh Haycox, who lined up behind him, so it's a little tense behind them. But Sean Campbell with a decent jump. Hugh Haycox with an even better jump, actually going to look to the outside of Sean Campbell as they go through first turn, heading up towards the first chicane. Sean Campbell's going to lead Hugh Haycox into the first turn. Let's go to the GTOs.
In the GTOs, that's going to be Nils Kor getting a very bad start coming out of it. He's already down into fourth. Philip Lake pushing hard as he can. Ove Tangerid is also up there. And Nicholas McCann's making absolutely no bones about it. He wants to be in the top three as well. Nils Kor slotting behind the four as they come through nice and neatly. No real issues in the GTOs, just a few false starts, I think, in people's minds.
Absolutely back onto the front straightaway. Sean Campbell out to a good lead. Hugh Haycox 4/10 behind him. The battles between Martin Krajcik and John Keefe for the 6th and 7th positions. In the background there, you can see them side by side. That's John Keefe who's poked his nose out. Look at that. A little bit of a look from Hugh Haycox there on Sean Campbell. Can't get anything done into the first chicane. But man, very tense driving for these drivers. They're trying to get these cars all warmed up now for the first lap.
Well, I think the engine's all warmed up. I think it'd be screaming for a little bit of air right now. But what they're going to be screaming about is slipstream. Slipstream is the ultimate overtaker here, and we could just see we're on board with Sean Campbell's car as Hugh Haycox pulls over to the left-hand side coming into the Mulsanne 2. It is an absolute prime territory, and that is Sean Campbell having to resist going side by side through. It is not going to work. Hugh Haycox moving over to the first position. That is going to be a common theme. Slipstream, 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 and then sitting behind and waiting for your next move.
Absolutely. Patrick Silvazzi got pushed off wide by Javier Mosquera for the 10th position. Those two battling as well with Nicholas Morelli behind. But once again, side by side for the lead between Sean Campbell and Hugh Haycox. Sean Campbell gets the pass done. Hugh's actually going to lift a little bit before the hit Mulsanne corner and let these guys go by. In the GTOs, the top 10 are pretty tight together, actually, between Phil Lake, Nils Kor, Ove Trangrade, Nick McConas, Ben Laughter, Franco Scurry. Yuko Leskala has jumped up from his non-qualifying position to join this battle as well.
Yuko Leskala absolutely blew away. He just was very quiet. He was very tactical. Sorry, we just had an incident in the GTOs. Several cars have actually gone off. I think that was at the Mulsanne corner, but just here we do have a side-by-side action between Nils Kor and Philip Lake. Philip Lake is trying to resist the urge to keep it around the outside. He'll lose another position if he's not careful, though. Ove Tangerid is looking to get past as well. Nils Kor, after his bad start, looking good, in good shape. And Ove Tangerid is using the advantage of having a car. Oh, please don't make it three wide, gentlemen. No!
They're going to give it a shot here. Ove Traeger is looking at the middle, but he's going to fall in behind Phil Lake instead. And this is going to be the case until they get lapped with the GTPs. We're going to see these guys battling side by side like this. And actually at these speeds, the GTOs are extremely unstable. So it's very dangerous for these drivers side by side through Indianapolis for Nils Kor and Phil Lake. They're going to exit that corner still side by side. I think Phil's just having a little bit of fun here. Nils Kor as well. Ove Traeger and Nick McCollum behind them. Remember, they're battling for position 3rd and 4th in the championship for those two guys. So they're taking this a little bit more seriously as we ride on board with Nick McCollum.
Yeah, McCollum is looking at the available options. Not a lot, because Ove Tangerid is placing his car very deliberately outside of the slipstream, but also to the right, and to prevent a overtake from Nicholas. And then we see Philip having to do side-by-side action, but it's just not going to work. Well, they'll make it work just about, but you know, it's not going to work in these kinds of cars. You could make it work in modern-day cars, but for the GTOs, it's just a slip. I think you'll slip into one another, and it'll just be chaos, especially through the porch curves where there's no room for air. And Niels Core comes out on top and defends his position very beautifully.
Absolutely, Niels Core doing a great job as they head towards the chicanes once again. Just an update on the GTPs. Actually, we should go to the lead again because I think Hugh Haycox is going to do a little bit of a swap over with Sean Campbell. They're going to be doing this all race, so they've already got a 3-second gap back to Aitor Simpkiski to behind, who has no draft for himself. So this is actually benefiting both of them to be doing these swap overs if Sean Campbell will be agreeable here. And the answer is he will. He's going to fall in behind Hugh Haycox as they go into the first chicane, and we'll fall in behind him, and we'll do a swap over before the second chicane. If these guys keep doing this, they'll continue to gain positions.
Yeah, especially given the fact that Aitor Sanchez Galindo behind him doesn't have anybody to do leapfrogs with. He's on his own. He's 2 seconds ahead, as we can see another swap.
And it's bad news for Laust Olsen. His day goes from bad to worse. He not set a qualifying time in qualifying, and he's fallen back to 16th position, unfortunately for him. So Sean Campbell and Hugh Haycox swap over once again. Laust Olsen keeps falling backwards.
That is a darn shame, but it is a long race, yes. It may be only 11 laps, but...
Niels Core got a cut course penalty entering the Mulsanne Straight.
And the punishment begins because that is exceptionally ruthless. If you go too far left onto the blue pavement and don't cut back in time for the Mulsanne Straight, 2.5 seconds if they don't have enough laps under their belts, that is a stringent penalty and one to get rid of very, very quickly. Back down into 5th he goes, and following the rear end of Ben Laughter. I told you Laughter would have a great race today as he's battling for 3rd position. He looks to see if he can use whatever slipstream he can to hold off Niels Core. Niels threatening though and putting in a great braking zone, making sure, you know, that the gap was there. Ben Laughter obviously seeing clean racing, not wanting to push the apple cart too much.
And Martin Kraytrick has had an issue. And this seems like a technical issue because he's just pulled over to the side of the track.
And that is damage. Plenty of damage right there on... That is Martin Kraytrick's car. I think he's actually crabbing. I did see the chassis, and it doesn't look... Yeah, he's crabbing. The chassis is not lined up. There is a small camber of the chassis to the left. And you can just about see it. Ooh, crikey.
He's trying to keep this thing going. He's in front of Patrick Silvazzi right now, trying to go through the Porsche curves here and try and keep Silvazzi behind, but it's going to be difficult for him with that crab to try and keep this race under him right now. We got a pass for the lead in the GTOs once again. Ove Trangrade trying to go by Phil Lake side by side as they go once again up towards Indianapolis. Ove Trangrade capturing that position. Niels Core gets past Nick Bacanos, actually side by side between those two as they go through Indianapolis. Going to be very close, but Niels Core is going to get that position. Nick Bacanos, knowing he's got plenty of time to cling on to the back of this draft. They've brought Yuka Leskala into this. Jamie Hamel-Smith not too far behind either.
And we do see the fruits of patience, I think. Niels Core, unfortunately, he did have that issue. Yeah, he can have the issue again, but he's not letting it affect his driving or not define his driving. So he's already back up into 3rd. And already looking at see if Philip Lake can, you know, sort of dodge out of the way. Niels Core wants that P1. He really does. But he's got to get through 2 cars to get it. And he also still has Buchanos behind him. Car number 8 there, the cameras are focusing on. It's a very nice car, actually. But don't get Buchanos out just yet.
Absolutely not. Nick Buchanos is known for waiting until his last chance to take a good opportunity here. So good to see him up there battling for these positions. Now through this latter quarter of the track, through these curves and these chicanes, is exactly where you're going to see the better racers pull away a little bit. And if they can get out to a 1.5 seconds, that's going to be enough to give them a gap where the driver behind won't have as much draft. And Pablo Suarez has gone around from the top of the leaderboard. He was up at about 5th position, and he's backwards facing the track right now.
Pablo Suarez coming out of the contact
Yeah, with Alex
coming
Millward,
out.
last week's winner.
Yeah, contact coming out of the first Mulsanne, and you can just see just a light tapping between the two of them.
Boink.
Oh, and just off into no man's land he went, and he was very lucky to keep it out of the wall. That would have been game over if he hit the wall. but there is serious amount of damage on that right-hand side of the car number 13. We can hear another angle. That is going to be Alexander Miller coming through, and just that tap does it all.
Yeah, Millward needed room to get back onto the track, so that's exactly why they did that. Now, speaking of GTPs, Hugh Haycox and Sean Campbell have decided not to play ball right now. They're side by side as they head towards Indianapolis. These two guys are starting to get a little feisty.
Well, they've got enough of a gap to do so. They've got 5 seconds behind them. The gloves will come off. You know, it's not just going to be the end of the race and the gloves will come off. It'll be there's nobody around us to threaten us. I want that P1 right now. And they'll just go at it. And they've been doing laps that have been almost 2 seconds faster than anybody else behind them. So they're in essentially a league of their own, and it is a race of their own right now as they come through the Porsche curves. I just want to discuss, by the way, the Porsche curves with the GTPs. Lethal.
Oh,
lethal if you hit that blue wall.
Sorry, we almost had a 3-wide moment for the GTO lead. Niels Kors taking over the lead from Ove Trangrade. Phil Lake falling back to 3rd position. He's got Nick McConnell tucked in behind him and Ben Laffer behind him as well. And this kind of drafting chaos, I mean, it almost looks like a NASCAR race out there, Rob. And that's just going to be the nature of this race for most of it until the GTPs start lapping them. The GTPs are about half a lap ahead of these GTOs at this point. Let's see who's going to make a move here. Ove Trangrade makes the move. Phil Lake decides to stay in line behind these guys. He's actually going to try and take the inside away from Ove. Thinks better of it as they head to Mulsanne Corner. Niels Kors currently in the lead over Ove Trangrade and Phil Lake for the GTOs. Sean Campbell has lost about 8/10 to Hugh Haycox.
And just as we see that, by the way, it is going to be quite tight because Phil wants to overtake, but it's kind of like, well, where do I go? Because Ove Trangrade, once he gets by, he's actually side by side. He's not going to get by up until he gets around to Indy. But that is Phil Lake. Almost, he said before, it was looking like NASCAR. It is almost like NASCAR. I'm surprised the spotter is not calling stay hard as car on the low side. And going through into Indy 1 and 2, just making sure to keep it nice and tidy. Ooh, Phil looking, he's looking a lot. Phil is. He's like, maybe not.
Absolutely, he's got no risk. He doesn't have to worry about anything here. He's just battling for the win at this point, so that's exactly why he's doing that particular maneuver. Here he comes with a good run on Ove Trangrade. He's going to look to the inside before they hit the Porsche curves, but Ove Trangrade has to run in Niels Kors, so Phil Lake has to brake. Ove's going to be able to retain that position. Phil's going to stick his nose in, but it's going to swap over to the outside of the corner as they head through the curves once again. And man, they get so close to the outside wall there.
They have to. The outside wall is going to be exceptionally tight, especially in these GTOs and GTPs, because you just don't have you don't have the technology that we have today, and B, I mean, aerodynamics have gotten a lot better since the late 80s. So I'd imagine that they would have had a fair few years to get it right, but it's difficult. Especially given the fact that walls are ready to greet you if you make the mistake. Not only that, you'll block the road then. So every driver has multiple issues hanging over their heads coming through that. They want to go as fast as possible, but if they make a mistake, it's a game over for them and potentially for other people.
Yeah, this battle is now eight cars long, with Franco Scurry and Jamie Hamill-Smith joining the battle. But look at this. Hugh Haycox starting to drop Sean Campbell. Sean just barely within reach of that draft, but Hugh starting to put in some very quick corners. He's starting to leave Campbell in the dust. If he can get another 2 to 3 tenths, he'll have left him behind.
You can just see the back kicking out on that GTP for Sean. He's not looking very happy in there. The car is actually, it seems to be lurching around more than anything else. Best way I could describe it. He actually did a 3:28.050 on the last lap, so he's still at least 7 tenths faster than anybody else on the track, Sean is. But on the last lap, Hugh Haycox put in a 3:26, so he is almost a second and a half faster than Sean Campbell was on that last lap. John really still starting to pushing ever so hard to get back that gap. I think it would have been down to a mistake of some description because he's holding it. He's holding it just about, but that car is really on the rickety edge right there.
Absolutely, and that's how Sean likes to drive it for sure. So Sean Campbell has clawed back about 2 tenths over this last bit of the lap. But here we go. Pass for the lead. Phil Lake got past Obi Trangrade on the last bit of straight. He's going to get past Niels Core now. Obi Trangrade is going to try and fall in line behind Phil Lake, give him a little bit of a aerodynamic push into the next corner, but Niels has been late on the brakes every corner of this last lap. He does it again. Phil has to give him room. This is going to give advantage to Niels as they exit. They get very close together. Niels Core is going to retain that position. Obi Trangrade now with the speed advantage on both of them. Is he going to go make it 3 wide here? The answer is no. He's going to stay in line. Phil Lake with a little bit of a run. Here comes Nick Makanos up to the back of Obi Trangrade. This is just complete chaos. This is exactly what we expect from these GTOs today.
Phil Lake playing no games. He wants that P1. He will get that P1. He still is almost side by side. There's a little bit of contact in the middle of that groom. You could just about hear just a little bang, and Niels Core having to slide into first. Philip Lake having to get back into second. Try again. Obi Trangrade has got Nicholas Mukanos to worry about now, as the top two are, it's now 2 by 2, a bit like Noah's Ark going down Gulf.
Absolutely, and that contact was between Nick Makanos and Yuka Leskala, actually. Those two having to check up because of this battle that we're seeing. Phil Lake with the inside through Indianapolis, but Niels Core holding strong on the outside. Can't quite get it slowed down, though. It's a little bit of a right front late brake lockup. That's going to open the door for Phil, who's going to go around the outside, but Niels sticks his nose in once again, but can't get the drive off the corner. Give first position to Phil Lake. Obi Trangrade gets blocked by Niels Core, actually. He's going to have to swap over to the outside of the corner, but he doesn't have the run. But he has to stay there, otherwise he's going to get passed by Nick Makanos.
Looking ever so...
Here comes Niels
planted. Again. It's just on the... He can't really do anything because Niels Core is just throwing out the rule book. You know, the rule book would be that you would use the outside lane coming into the Porsche curves and then overtake coming onto the second, on the first left-hander there. But it's going to be just so close if they continue doing that. So...
Oh, and Rob, we got to go to the lead of the GTPs because Sean Campbell has closed up and is now trying to make the pass on Hugh Haycox. This is up to Indianapolis. These guys are about to start lapping GTOs. Hugh's going to give him the position, knowing that he'll probably be able to cling to the draft. They've only got 6 seconds up to Simo Raba, who they'll be able to catch probably into Indianapolis. So these drivers are going to have to start dealing with traffic here and at the worst possible point on the track.
Traffic in the Porsche curves is probably, yeah, as you say, it is the worst place to deal with it. But it is also probably one of the better, you know, areas to sort of try and keep focus and just keep behind, take stock. Because the both of you are going to have to get around it at some point. Oh, look how quick they close onto the Audi. Ooh, having to hog around, keep it nice and tidy. The fastest line will be how quickly can you get past and stick to the racing line, or how close you can stick to the racing line without even further here. If they get stuck behind this Audi through the Porsche curves, and they are, or through the Ford chicanes, correction, and side by side, look at that. Oh, that is going to be Haycox trying to make an overtake when the Audi was still there.
Absolutely, that was Michael Haynes, who just couldn't get through the chicane quite well enough. So Haycox trying to warm up his tires again, using absolutely all of the road possible on the outside there, trying to get a decent run on Sean Campbell. Got to wait till the straightaway, though. I can report that the Audis actually have separated a little bit, and this was due to Douglas Cloud and the GTPs coming through. That broke up the battles so that they're about a half second long. Now, when these two GTPs that we've been watching cut through this field again, it's going to extend those gaps to about a second. You get more GTPs involved, it's going to spread those out even more. So these drivers have to be very careful. But Sean Campbell and Hugh Haycox closing in on some more GTO traffic now, and they're nose to tail.
Niels Core again telling Philip Lake, oh crikey, so very close there from, I think that was Hugh Haycox on the outside there, and on the inside of Sean Campbell have, very, very close, tucking in to the front end of Sean Campbell. Sorry, making all of the noises today. But it's so very close.
Absolutely, and the lead of the GTPs is closed again between Niels Core, Phil Lake, and Obi Trangrade. Those three have now closed up. Here comes yet another pass from Sean Campbell on Hugh Haycox. Is he going to let this one go? I think he's going to have to, unless he wants to late break into the next chicane. Here we go. He's going to let Sean Campbell go. They're going to catch up to the lap traffic. This will absolutely define all of these battles for sure. So it's going to be interesting to watch that. We've just now passed halfway of this race as they cross the halfway point of this lap. And here we go, Hugh Haycox with yet another run.
Just absolutely close to close. It's almost like they're bump drafting, but it's not healthy in these cars.
Absolutely, and we've also been keeping our eyes on third place, about 10 seconds back. That's HR Sentes Guido and Toko Hisada who've been swapping positions now. They're trying to claw their way back up to Sean Campbell and Hugh Haycox, but they've got Andre Anso and Iago Alafuente, who they're trying to pass as well, and that's a little bit trouble for them. But Sean Campbell and Hugh Haycox not playing any games. They're side by side again as they head towards Indianapolis.
It's very scary because the gloves have now firmly come off and they are absolutely not holding back the punches they're throwing in terms of making corners and trying to be the fastest guy around and just giving each other the inch that is necessary and not much else, especially now when the Porsche curves are coming up. Sean Campbell absolutely needs to clear it, but look at that line of GTOs.
They're going to split him. They split Mika Tupola right there. That was very close. I'm sure Mika's not too happy about that particular one, but Sean Campbell retaining that position. They're going to catch up to Ian Haycox and Marty Ole, who are battling for position on track between these two guys. This is going to be where things get intense. Oh, boy, that's Marty Ole going a little bit wide through the corner. Oh, man, Hugh Haycox navigating that as well. Sean Campbell has to go split the two drivers, hit the grass. Here comes an opportunity for Hugh if he can make it through. He can't make it through, unfortunately, so he's going to have to fall in behind Sean Campbell and Hugh Haycox once again.
Coming up to the end of lap 6, going to be going into lap 7 now.
And Rob, bad news for Nick Bacanos. He's in the pits. I'm not sure whether it's fuel-related or damage-related, but Nick Bacanos' challenge for third place on the podium is done.
I think, let me have a look at his car. I think, that might be for repairs because he's in there quite a long time.
So 5 laps to go this time by for Sean Campbell and Hugh Haycox as they come down once again through these beautiful sweeping corners headed towards the straightaway. And here we go onto the straightaway once again. Hugh Haycox, they've got about 14 seconds up to Yuko Leskola and Jamie Hamill-Smith. They're about to catch the lead group of Audis. Rob, this is going to make things interesting. We'll see how that defines the battles up ahead.
Well, they've already shown us what they will do around the traffic. They'll cut through traffic, they'll go around traffic, but the only thing that's common is the side-by-side action that they're going to bring it to us. And here we go, back into Mulsanne 1, into the main part of Mulsanne 1, out onto the second part of the Mulsanne straight, keeping it nice and tidy, hugging the right-hand side of the road, and making sure that you're maximizing as much of the aero as you can as Sean Campbell pulls over to the left-hand side. He keeps it there, keeps it nice and tidy. Hugh Haycox will have not much to give for Mulsanne 2. He'll have to wait until the Mulsanne chicane to fight back.
They're going to catch these guys. They're going to catch the lead group when they get to Indianapolis, which is going to make these things very interesting for sure. But Hugh Haycox giving Sean Campbell that room. I'm not sure he's going to be able to catch him into Mulsanne corner. Yes, he is. Let's see whether or not he throws the move here, because that lead group is very tight together. Sean Campbell's starting to look ahead. So is Hugh Haycox. He lifted right there to make sure that he didn't make the pass. I think he's thinking ahead too. Where are they going to pass these guys? They're going to catch them coming into Indianapolis. This is going to get intense.
You're going to have this battle of 2, but you have the battle of 3 in ahead in GTOs because Ove Tangerid is with Philip Lake and Niels Core, but you already have this group that's heading up now. And again, lifting, not wanting to push it too hard, coming through Indy. They will catch the first set of 4, and then there will be 3. And I guarantee you they'll be catching the 3 coming through both the Porsche curves and the Ford chicanes. So I imagine, it's going to be very difficult.
They might get lucky here and catch them beforehand. This could be really important for all of these drivers involved in these battles. Look at this. Sean Campbell not taking the risk. He does not want to get caught out by Franco Scurry and Ben Laffer having a battle. There they go by Yuko Leskola. We're riding on board with Hugh Haycox. who's trying to chase down Sean Campbell. They do not get lucky. They're going to catch him through the Porsche curves. Now, there is a way to get around here very well. Hugh Haycock's looking around the outside. Here we go, braking for the corner. They're going to go around Ove Trengrade, push him a little wide. That's going to separate him from these lead two. Here they go past Phil Lake, and Nils Core has to turn in front of Sean Campbell. This is going to separate these battles once again as well. Hugh Haycock's trying to follow them through. Nils Core able to get through the chicane well. Hugh Haycock's going around them, and once again they're through. Everyone can resume battling.
I bet you Nils Core had to hold his breath when he decided to keep to his line, but he did the right thing. They are allowed to keep to the line, and as they should do. But it is always up to the faster class to make it around, and just about they did, but not much space in between, and you can just see the gap that's actually resulted now. Half a second between Nils Core to Lake. Now, Philip, you'll get that back. He does have the Mulsanne straight to sort of alleviate that kind of issue, but
Ove Trengrade might not though, Rob, because he's 1.2 seconds back, and with the draft that Phil's going to get off of Nils, I'm not sure that he's actually attached to these guys anymore. He's got Yuka Leskala 2.5 seconds behind him, who's got a second to Ben Laughter. This is exactly what I thought would happen. He's got the GTP separating these GTO battles. Fortunately, though, Nils Core and Phil Lake now up together in that front pack. If they work together just for a couple laps, they could leave Ove Trengrade in the dust.
And that is the issue, yeah. Ove needs to be as far ahead as he can, but these guys are still gaining distance against Synthèse Galland, the car number 15, at a rate of about a second and a half, actually. I thought it was just half a second. No, I was looking at it wrong. They both did a 3:28 fighting through traffic. That's how fast they are.
Yeah, these guys are pretty good up at the front of the field. Oh, look at this. We've got Ove Trengrade having a problem here. He's off track, and he absolutely cut that first chicane.
He's going to get it. Yeah, he's going to get a slowdown for that. That is a huge cut of the chicane, and he's just coming into Mulsanne 1. You can just see just too much speed. He had actually a slip coming into the first portion. He didn't correct it in time, and carrying too much speed wasn't going to make the corner.
So now he's definitely off the back of Nils Core and Phil Lake. He's down by about a second and a half now. As we look at the battle of the lead again between Sean Campbell and Hugh Haycock's very close as they go through Mulsanne corner. Hugh Haycock's a little bit of wheel spin coming off the corner, actually. He's going to slide it behind Sean Campbell. I think it's a little too close and duck his nose out again.
Just constant fights. And it's just not going to be the easy time that I think people would have expected, that Sean Campbell and Hugh Haycock probably would have expected. Oh, crikey, again, very close, and into not more is what they're giving each other right now. They really do both want first position. It is the final race of the season, so I mean, they kind of do want to have the ultimate prize of winning at Le Mans and in a GTP of all things, but both of them can't have it. They both have to fight for it.
Campbell wants the inside. He's going to take that position. He's going to make a little bit of a move there to block off that inside line. Hugh Haycock is just going to use the downforce and power around. He's a little bit of that tire, and he's going to take that position away from Sean Campbell, who has to lift through the Porsche curves. Great move from Hugh Haycock. Very assertive move there. Clips the inside curbing just a little bit. That could often upset a downforce car. He's loose as he comes through the chicane.
And just... we do want to actually look at Sean's perspective, because I don't think you can actually grasp how close they are. Now, just imagine, on the left-hand side is going to be a car that is driven by Hugh Haycock. There he is, look, coming around into this first portion. Just, that's not a lot of distance.
Oh my goodness, that's so fast. It's so fast and so tight for those drivers, and they're keeping it clean the whole way around. Awesome to watch for them and Nils Core and Phil Lake as they continue to battle. Nils Core and Phil Lake separated by about 6/10 now as they're getting lapped by the rest of the GTP field. This will absolutely define this battle for these guys. That's Martin Krajcik and Javier Mascara who are passing them right now, and Nils Core's going to get caught up in between them.
Very close and very tight. No space, really. They kind of have to sort of poke their heads in and go, I need the space. Can I please get through? Phil Lake actually having a mistake coming out of the final turn. He hit the sand and had to drop back a little bit, so he's actually going towards...
Yuka Leskala.
Yuka Leskala, yeah.
Wow, so Yuka Leskala right up to the back of Phil Lake now. Niels Cord just about a second up ahead, and I can report that Hugh Haycock's actually cut the Dunlop chicane there and has fallen back half a second to Sean Campbell. So Sean Campbell with an opportunity to run away now. So all of these battles starting to be defined by the traffic. As they go through traffic, their tires are heating up more, and it's become a much more of a challenge for them. But look at this, Hugh Haycock's definitely in that draft, catching back up very quickly.
And just looking at the speed at which it closes, I mean, it's 7 kilometers an hour difference between the two of them, 314 versus 308, but it's still enough to close that gap over such a long distance. So it's going to be Campbell's race to sort of toy with. He needs to have the exact positioning just right so he can be ahead coming through the Porsche curves.
Yeah, I don't know about toying with, but these guys only have 3 laps to go, so they definitely have to be thinking about this very, very much right now. Niels Core has a pretty decent lead over Yuka Leskala and Phil Lake, who are battling it out now between the two of them, and they're actually getting left in the dust by Niels. If they don't work together, they're going to see Niels Core disappearing off into the distance here. Phil Lake decides that he doesn't want to stay behind Yuka Leskala, as he gave Yuko a decent push there. Now he decides to fall back in line behind him as Yuko's getting a draft from Niels up ahead. And here comes Mark Gamick. Mark's actually got to cut off Yuko a little bit. Yuko has to take a wide line through the corner. That's going to slow up everybody behind him, and that just compounds Niels Core's lead.
And just as they were trying to get back up and running, Yuka Leskala, sorry, just having to deal with traffic. And these guys are having to deal with traffic. Everybody's having to deal with traffic. It's traffic mania here at Le Mans, and it's not. I don't think anybody's winning. I think everybody's losing in traffic because they're all having to separate. But Hugh Haycock and Sean Campbell definitely are winning the accolade for being faster while still battling, because a 3:27 on that last lap is definitely good coming through the Porsche curves. That's going to be Sean Campbell acing it through there, getting a nice enough gap, making sure that he has a clear line of sight coming up towards the Ford chicane and on towards the new lap 10 we're coming up to. So it is going to be the as Murray Walker would say, this is the penultimate lap.
Absolutely. Yeah, Sean Campbell made a nice move there, or he stuck it to the inside, and Hugh Haycock just couldn't stick it to the outside this time around. So positions swapped for this time around, crossing the line onto that penultimate lap, as you said, Rob. And these two guys battling very close together. Yuka Leskala and Phil Lake starting to work together a little bit to try and catch up to Niels Core. They only have 2 laps to do it.
And with that as well, you get the situation where the GTOs are they're still having, it's not just this traffic in like the top 5 or 6 and that's the end of it. They'll have traffic continuously all the way through, and for them it started 3 laps ago and it'll continue to the end of the race practically. So they'll all have to deal with, look at this, going around the outside, 2
Niels is going to get cut off here. Yep, Niels Core gets cut off. Yuka Leskala's going to keep his foot down because he knows that Violet's going to be able to pass Niels before the next chicane. I think Yuka's going to make a move here. He wants to. He hits the back of Niels Core just a little bit, and that's going to be the end of that opportunity. But that was almost an opportunity to make a pass into the chicane here. Great move there from Yuka Leskala to be able to read the traffic well and try and take that opportunity. Now they're both leaving Phil Lake in the dust. And look at this, Niels Core's going to go defensive.
I think he's going on the inside to try and block off any antics that Yuka Leskala would try and provide. The antics being overtaking him, especially coming through the double chicane, be a good place to it, but he can't. And having to hug essentially the end plate of Niels Core's number 5.
Rob, remember that Yuko started this race in 14th position, and he's now battling for the lead. I mean, his tires clearly look pretty spent as we go through these corners, but he's still up there. He's still in position to be battling for that lead, so he's definitely done his homework today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's probably got a very clued-in setup just to try and, may not work for him in the qualifying within the race, certainly has, but the likes of Philip Lake and Niels Core definitely will put pay to him, as he's got to slow down. He's slowing down. It's another tragic event.
Commentators'
the blue curbs. Oh dear, he'll have a word with me afterwards. But at the blue curbs coming on Tetra Rouge, strike again.
But Phil Lake has made that pass for the lead. He's gotten past Nils Core, and they've dragged Ove Trangrade with them. So as they're going down now the second section of the Mulsanne Straight, Sean Campbell and Hugh Haycox are exiting Indianapolis for the penultimate time. And Sean Campbell actually got a little loose there, so Hugh Haycox is going to look to the inside. These two guys are going to have one more lap to battle this out, and they're going to have traffic, Rob. They've got Ian Haycox and Axel Bodo Herreras who they're going to have to be dealing with here this lap. This is going to make things very exciting for them.
And very, very scary. It's going to be last lap, so the gloves, are, if they're not off before, they're going to be off now, because as soon as you hear white flag, stay smooth, it is literally going to click in people's heads. It's like, last lap, go. And some people are just going to wake up. And they are
oh boy. That was Axel just moving over a little bit for these guys. Ian and Hugh know each other very well, so this should be a pretty smooth overtake, but it did hold up Hugh a little bit. White flag lap this time for Hugh Haycox and Sean Campbell as they battle for the lead of this race. Sean Campbell with a good run. Is he going to look to the inside? He thinks better of it this time. Now he's going to have to wait until they get to Mulsanne Straight once again. Our GTO leaders, on the other hand, are having their own intense three-way battle as they head up to Indianapolis side by side between Phil Lake and Nils Core, as Nils trying to make it work around the outside of Indianapolis. Ove Trangrade has clawed his way back from his slowdown penalty and is in this battle for the lead as well.
And just when you thought that the prophecy wouldn't come true, literally, as we saw, people are waking up because it's the final lap. It is the last chance they're going to get to be able to make a strike for the lead, for a better place, for anything. So they're going to try their absolute best right at this moment of time. Side by side is Philip Lake and Nils Core on the right hand side. We're looking at the number 4 coming around the outside. He's actually sticking it, but he backs out just the very last minute. He's trying to psych Nils out and trying to put him in uncomfortable positions.
How on earth has Nils Core's tires survived this race, to be honest with you? I mean, like, he's been pushing so hard for so long, and he's been just out there rigging out this machine up at the front of the field. But Phil Lake with a decent run here, is he going to try and make a move into the chicane? No, he's going to lift just a little bit here. He knows they're entering the final lap this time by. So as they enter the chicane, Nils goes in a little deep. Is that too deep for Nils? Is he going to pick up a cut course penalty? It's so hard to slow these cars down. The answer is no. Nils Core exits well. White flag for Nils Core, Phil Lake, and Ove Trangrade.
And just back towards Hugh Haycox and Sean Campbell. They are going at it. Oh, they've got a cone with them now. Hello, cone. This is the good luck cone as they come around into Gulf. It's actually stuck in there.
That's
now,
actually can affect his straight line speed a little bit.
I think Cone Friend is coming to visit us. It sometimes happens, but I like it. But Hugh Haycox has got more things to worry about other than Cone Friend. He's got Sean Campbell around the outside coming into Indy. The gloves are definitely off at this point. I said that probably 6 times.
Alex Milward and John Keefe have gone around as these two guys are battling side by side. That was for 3rd position in the GTPs. But look at this battle. This is the final lap for these drivers, Rob.
And in they go into Indy all the way through, and that is Hugh Haycox taking the lead. A little bit of a mistake coming from the exit there, almost touching the sand as they come towards the Porsche curves. The run-up is as critical as ever. Sean Campbell is in a prime position to take the inside line. He has already perfectly executed this final lap. Can he make it through? Yes, he can. On the inside, coming into the Porsche curves. On the outside now, that is going to be Hugh Haycox denying him. He almost struck the wall there, but he just about makes it through.
Sean Campbell still in the lead as they exit the sweeping curves. Hugh Haycox almost goes a little bit wide. That might be what defines this, but Carlos Fonseca is going to pull over and let these guys go through the chicane uncontested. Hugh Haycox making a little bit of a mistake. Here we go through the chicanes. He's going to try and close the gap, but there's nowhere to make a pass. Sean Campbell through the final chicane cleanly, and Sean Campbell is going to take the win here at the final round of Kamel GT and the GTPs. It was complete chaos behind them with a 3-car wreck on the straightaway, but we got to go back to our GTO leaders who are still in a pack of 3.
It is going to be Phil Lake, Nils Core, and Ove Trangrade. And that is going to be Nils Core on the outside. Is going to be only 3 wide coming into the Mulsanne chicane. Ooh, very, very close indeed. Backing out is the car number 6 as he's trying to navigate the traffic. He's only got half a lap to do it, so he needs to make it quick. Niels Core and Philip Lake going side by side, coming up through Gulf Kink 1, dusted. Philip Lake ahead, just about, and that is over Tangrid. Looking to see if he can make the move. He's just, very, very close, closing in down the gap. He could make the pass if he could, but that would be a 3 wide, be very dangerous coming through Gulf.
Oh, very, very close between these drivers. Here we go. Nils Core takes it deep into Indianapolis. Is he going to be able to make the corner? The answer is yes. He gets a little bit of contact from Phil Lake over Tranger, trying to take an opportunity. Looks to the outside. He's going to look to the outside of the next corner now. Phil Lake, Nils Core, and Ove Tranger nose to tail as they exit this section for the last time. Ove Tranger with a little bit of a slip up. That's going to drop off the back of Nils Core with the miss shift. Phil Lake is going to be able to make the pass, headed up towards the Porsche curves. These Audis don't handle them quite as well as the GTPs, but Ove Tranger with a good run. Nils Core with a good run. Nils is going to look to the inside. Ove Tranger is going to look to the outside. It's going to be 3 wide entering the Porsche curves. Ove backs out of it. Phil Lake has to hold it on the inside. Nils Core tries to take it deep. Can't quite do so. Phil Lake on the outside. Contact between the two of them. Nils Core and Phil Lake contact. Nose to tail. Phil Lake still around the outside of the corner. Now he swaps over back to the inside. Nils Core very close. Phil Lake very close. Who's going to have it here? More off track. Nils Core shifts again, but Ove Tranger can't make the move.
No, Philip Lake, a little bit of contact. He's shoved off the grass, into the grass. Yuko Leskela goes up into third. Does Ove Tranger have anything to give on the final 2 corners? He doesn't.
Yes, he does. He does. Contact between the two of them. Nils is around. They're going to have to wait. Is this going to give Yuko Leskela the win? Yuko pulls into the pit lane. Phil Lake is going to win. Phil Lake wins at Le Mans. What just happened?
No, it all went wrong for Phil, and then it all came back for Phil. We can just see here, sweeping through the S's, the Porsche curves, just a little bit of tap coming through Corvette. Oh, there it is. And he thought his race was over, and he hit the wall as well. But not all was lost, and he just needed just so ever to get back and do it. And look at this, the car number 6 of Ove Tranger in the final few corners, making the move, and you can just see here, bam, there he goes.
Makes the move off the inside, contact between Nils and Ove. Ove doesn't want to take the win that way, so he pulls over. Phil Lake sees the two of them spinning and just puts the power on and takes the win from hitting the wall. And Yuko Leskela into the pit lane. He could have won this race.
He just as synonymous of just what just happened there.
Well, that's going to take us to a break. We'll have some very unofficial results and some pretty interesting driver interviews for you coming up afterward. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss this. Welcome back to the Kamel GT series, round 12 here at Le Mans. Oh my goodness, did we have a crazy finish to what was a very exciting race, with Sean Campbell taking the win after Hugh Haycox gets just a little bit loose out of the Porsche curves. Togo Hisada gonna come home in third position, 18 seconds back ahead of Aitor Sintes-Guindo by about 2.5 seconds. Martin Kraytrig is going to finish in the 5th position, with Javier Mascara in 6th. Patrick Silvazzi is going to come home in 7th, with Laust Olsen recovering from being back down in 14th position up to 8th. Nicholas Morelli is going to come home in 9th, with John Keefe in 10th position. Fabian Youngblood is going to come home in 11th spot, with Mark Gamick in 12th. Then we get some drivers who are involved in a very interesting final lap incident. Violet Alexandria Miller, Pablo Suarez, Gianluca Gabbiani, Kyle Graham, Tim Phillips, Douglas Cloud, and Alex Milward were all involved in the last lap incident between Mulsanne and Indianapolis, and they all end up in a very interesting position, whereas Alex Milward had to tow.
And then into the GTOs, your winner after the last lap kerfuffle. Holy moly, it's Philip Lake. After almost being knocked down for the count, he comes back and wins it. I've never seen anything like it. Niels Core, unfortunately, just a little tap from Ove Changrid. Ove Changrid showing very good sportsmanship and allowing him, but he didn't see Philip Lake just zooming on through. Jamie Hamill-Smith into 4th. 5th is going to be Ben Laughter. See, I told you Ben would do well. He did well. You know, my pick of the day. He did well. Alan Lorette in 6th position. In 7th is going to be Pablo Rengel. In 8th, Yuko Leskela. He was in 5th, and then he went down into 8th position. I'm not sure what happened there, but I think he may have had a penalty of some sort. And just to see, 9th is Mika Tupola. 10th is going to be Nicholas Mcanos. He did have a good race, but just that last pit stop, I think he just had a bit too much damage to continue, and he needed to repair it. Iago Lafuente in 11th, car number 38, Simo Raba in 12th, Michael Haynes in 13th, 14th was Francos Scuri, Andre Anso in 15th, in Haycox, all the way down into 16th. Then we get into the retirees. Fortunately, Ed Ray did not finish the race. Axel Boada did, actually. He finished in 17th. Marty Ole did not finish the race. Hideki Koivisto did not finish the race. Carlos Fonesca did. And finally, finding it is Cam Porter.
And first up in the booth with us is our winner in the GTOs, Phil Lake. Phil, you said you might not visit this race because you didn't necessarily enjoy the big draft trains, but talk to me about the final portion of the race, especially through the Porsche curves there. It got pretty intense, and you came home with the win somehow.
It did, yeah. That was pretty lucky on my part. I did go back and have a look at the contact coming out of karting. It looked like a bit of netcode, so not a big deal. We weren't giving each other a lot of room, so something was bound to happen. But yeah, I don't really enjoy these kind of races where everyone's just waiting for the last lap, and then there's so much pressure to get a move done or to be in the position you want to be in the right corner, that these kind of things always seem to happen here, where everyone's just everyone wants to be third on the last lap kind of thing. So yeah, it was a good race anyway. I mean, I enjoyed it more when there wasn't anything, I didn't need to get a result, you know, and yeah, I got extremely lucky there at the end.
Absolutely, but it was a pretty good race between yourself, Niels, and Ove over the course of the race, and Yuko was up there a couple of times as well. How is it racing around these guys that you race week in and week out in a pack race like this? Because it's definitely a different attitude.
Yeah, I think Nils was a little bit more aggressive than Ove and Yuko. We've had these kind of races before, I think, with me and Jamie and Yuko, where we're all just happy to just sit in a train and sort of wait for the last lap, basically. And Nils wanted to lead, so that definitely spiced up the middle part of the race. And it really opened the door for some mind games and stuff. I was trying to convince him that I didn't want to, that I was trying to convince him that I wanted to lead the last lap, which I didn't. So I was just passing him every time I got a chance, just to try and kind of just to not give him an idea of what I wanted to do going into the last lap.
Well, Phil, you took the championship last week over Yuko with Yuko's mistake, but won a championship this week. And looking towards next season, you've actually, I noticed that you posted at least a draft of the submitted schedule. What are your thoughts heading into next season?
I think Yuko's taking a break, so I might go back to the GTP again. That didn't go well for me last time, so see if I can get it together and fight, hopefully fight for the championship in the GTP. It might take a couple of seasons to get there, but yeah, that's on the table at least. We'll see. I've not really made my mind up yet.
Well, regardless of what you decide, we look forward to seeing you there for sure. And is there anyone you want to thank for your championship and your win today and the season?
Just you guys, as always, for the broadcasts, all my teammates, my parents watch all these races and give me some support, so that's great. And just all the guys in Kamel. I mean, this series is pretty crazy at times, and we managed to get through these seasons and stay pretty friendly with each other. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Phil, and we look forward to seeing you at round 1 next season.
Thanks, Adam.
That was Phil Lake, our winner in the GTOs, and it looks like we've got Hugh Haycox, who came in second in the GTPs. He's talking with Robert.
Hugh, how are you doing? I bet you're feeling exceptionally, how should I put it, stressed and tired after that race. But take me through that battle with Sean Campbell.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, it was great. It was great racing the whole way through the race for 11 laps, 37 minutes. It was just great racing the whole way through.
Yeah, I can't imagine, but I can also imagine that as soon as you guys were starting to get a bit hands-on, with the racing, it really started taking off for you, and it started really putting paid to bear any hopes of a nice clean race for the first, or nice quiet race for the first 8 laps. Were you expecting it to start as quick as it did, or were you just saying, whatever, if it happens, it happens?
I was hoping I could pull away from him, but he had way more top end speed than me. Well, when I say way more, like 3 kph, but that's enough to be able to come back on your own. And it's much harder to pull a gap in these temps with higher downforce. So that's one of the reasons. Well, when I got my gap, I couldn't pull away. But yeah, he's very, very quick and doesn't make many mistakes. So it's always a fun battle racing at Sean. I mean, he's never dirty. He never shuts the door or anything. He always races clean, and I enjoy that. That's really nice of him.
And my final question to you would be, are you coming back for next season, given the fact of how well it went today?
Yes. If we can have clean racing like this all the time, I'm definitely going to be back for next season to race in the Nissan.
And will it be Camels, or will it be, will it be GTPs or GTOs? That's another
GTP.
Oh, perfect. We will see you then. Before we let you go, any shoutouts or anything you'd like to give?
Not particularly. I mean, my dad, as usual, and you guys for putting on a great show every week. So, thanks.
Thank you very much, Hugh, and a great race. Congratulations on second place, but you were definitely up there with the very best.
Thanks.
And that was Hugh Haycox, and we've got Niels Core, who's going to be joining us right now. Niels, I know second place wasn't what you were hoping for, but talk to me about the final lap. Porsche curves to the end of the race right there.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been so disappointed about a podium finish. I mean, in my opinion, you just don't overtake there. I don't think. I mean, I talked to Ove. He said he thinks he could have made the corner, but honestly, I don't think so. Even if I would go all the way around the outside, which is just a much slower line, and I don't know why I should take that when he's not even side by side with me before the corner. I don't think I have to give him that much space. Yeah, it's just a very desperate move from him there. But yeah, good sportsmanship that he slowed down right after and let me by again.
Absolutely. And throughout the rest of the race, it seemed like you were up there wanting to lead quite a bit there. Every time you would get a slowdown or a missed shift, you would definitely try and leapfrog your way back up to the lead of the race. What was your strategy heading into today?
Well, first of all, there are not many tracks where I can really keep up with guys like Phil. So yeah, I just want to do some leading laps. Yeah, and I do know that I just frequently make mistakes compared to Phil, like missing shifts and getting slowdowns. So I just thought I'm better off if I try to stay ahead. And sometimes I was also able to pull away a bit in the first sector in the push curves.
Absolutely, yeah. And we definitely saw you starting to pull away a little bit from those guys. How did you manage to keep your tires under control over the course of this race? Because it seemed like you were pushing quite a bit more than your competitors.
I don't think it was a problem. The tire wear usually isn't very high on Le Mans, as it's obviously quite a lot of straights. So yeah, and obviously it helps if you're being quite careful, don't lock the brakes too much, and yeah.
Well, Nils, you definitely raced very well this season. We talked about you quite often up there, racing for top fives quite often. Can we look forward to seeing you back next season?
Well, this season I only did 2 races, but I definitely think I will try to maybe do the full season, or at least like 8 or 10 races of the next one. The schedule looks quite good.
Well, we hope to see you back then, Nils. And is there anyone you want to thank for your second place finish today?
Yeah, as always, I would like to thank my team. Alex was watching again, and then I would also like to thank Phil and Ove for the great race anyways.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for talking to us, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of races next season.
Yeah, see ya.
That was Nils Kor, our second place finisher in the GTPs, and we have Ben Laughter who's going to be joining us. Ben finished down in 5th position in the GTOs, having a nice battle with Jamie Hamill-Smith and Alan Lorente.
Ben, I said you would do well, and he did. the last name giving you good props, but take us through how crazy it was out there for you.
Man, it's just like Daytona or Talladega in the oval cars. You know, you're more worried about positioning on any given lap as opposed to just passing. And so it's a strategy game more than anything here. And, you know, for the first half of the race, I was on the wrong strategy. I thought in times of old, we have not been lapped here by the Nissans. And so we would have had one extra lap. And so I was saving fuel, right? The whole first half of the race. And then I discovered later on, oh my God, they're the Nissans. I should start going. But then between Nissan traffic and a couple of guys around me getting slowdowns, I got detached from that front group. But I had a really good fight to the end there with Jamie and with Franco. And Franco, I probably owe a massive apology. We were really tight at the end, and I put him into the wall at about 9,000 miles an hour. I feel bad about that.
And I just want to think back to sort of the battles that you were seeing right in front of you. I know it's quite difficult to navigate through, especially given the fact that last lap it just went all over tipsy-turny. But your group definitely was still quite scrappy, but fair, I would have thought.
Oh yeah, totally fair. And you know, my fuel strategy had my brain in one place, and so I did not understand Nils's aggression early on, but it just turns out he's a lot smarter than me, and knew that we were going to get lapped. And so, you know, I was on this conservation strategy and I felt doing a pretty good job of just keeping in touch that top 5 group, and you know, just running well, waiting for the last couple of laps to begin making moves. But then, you know, the separation happened, and I just want to compliment Jamie. He positioned himself perfectly coming out of Arnage in that last lap and got that 4th spot that he deserved. It was a good race.
And if you were to come back next season, would it be with the GTOs?
Yeah, most likely. Most likely. I've been obsessed with this car since 2016, and every time I step away and drive other stuff, I'm just like, yeah, I miss that GTO. So, yeah, almost certainly.
I love the sound of the GTO. But before we let you go, any shout-outs or any thanks you'd like to give out there?
Well, my sponsor, Struggle Buddy, my team, Dirty Torque, the Camel community. I want to thank Phil's mom. They're always very supportive to us, his parents. I'm just joking. But you guys, as always, GSRC is always such a great broadcast partner. And another series I run in, the Outsider Racing League, is about to be started on GSRC, and I'm looking forward to that. So you guys, as always.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ben, and a pleasure to talk to you as always. We'll hope to see you back next season.
You bet, guys. Thank you.
That was Ben Laughter, our 5th place finisher in the GTOs, and that's going to close us out today. But we want to give a huge thanks to the Kamel GT community for bringing us on for another season of coverage. I can honestly say, and Kamel's consistently one of the most entertaining series we broadcast, with some of the closest battles, both for points and on track. And it's a joy to commentate for you all. Thanks also to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. They're listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our fantastic music, both at the beginning and the end and in breaks. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team this season: Joe Peak, Nicholas Schmeg, Robert O'Brien, Samuel Ryman, Jake Sparry, Doug Beard, and a special thank you to Sean Ambrose. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of your screen. And if you'd like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at store, and you can score at the store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment of action like we saw here today on GSRC. Up next for GSRC is going to be Weekend Warriors Formula V at Oran Park. That's going to be a great race coming up very shortly. We also have upcoming races for the many series we broadcast listed here on your screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. We hope you've enjoyed joining us this season as much as we've enjoyed bringing this racing to you, and we hope to see you back on our channel soon. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.